Howdy y'all, Caleb here, and whew, y'all ready for the Horde meta to be back in Age of Sigmar? Because we got some big news today, some previews at the new General's Handbook, which they're calling Season 1. And let's take a look at that and see how it impacts Seraphon and maybe what we'll be seeing in our armies coming up. Uh, I'm glad I didn't change all my Source Warriors from clubs to spears. Because clubs might have some play now. We'll take a look at that here in a second. But here's the preview from the Warhammer community website, and it does go up for pre-order on this weekend. So get that in if you like the General's Handbook. I love what they're doing with the Spiral Edition and stuff. It makes it real easy to play. But there's some previews here for some rules that are massive. The first one is this Masters of the Splintered Land. It says friendly battle line units that have a wounds characteristic of 4 or less and do not have mounts gain the Galician Veterans keyword. I hope I'm saying that right. That's how I said it in the video, Galician. So I'm going to go with that. So this is basically the core of this season. So any units that have 4 or less wound characteristics and don't have a mount will get this new keyword. And that's important because that keyword has a lot of play in this new match play General's Handbook. Seraphon really only has 3 battle line units that are going to fall into this. We've got the Skinks, which, you know, the tried and true Skinks are always getting play every edition. I think they're definitely going to still have play in this edition. So they get the Galician keyword. Source Warriors will get it because they have 4 less wounds and don't have a mount. And Source Guard will get the Galician keyword here. Source Knights will not because they have a mount, which is kind of a bummer. That they could have been a lot of fun with this keyword and some of the things you do. But we have those 3 units. Skinks, Warriors, and Guard are the only things that we're going to have that's going to get this Galician keyword. So that is a big deal in this new edition because there's going to be lots of things that go into that keyword. One of them is this Proving Grounds. So before we had in round 3, the priority roll, whoever's going second removes a objective. Now this is kind of replacing that rule in that at the start of each battle round, after the players have determined who will take the first turn, the player who will take the second turn can pick one objective on the battlefield to be the Proving Ground until the end of that battle round. The same objective cannot be picked as the Proving Ground more than once per battle, and only one objective can be marked as a Proving Ground at any one time. Only models and units with the Galician Veterans keyword can contest an objective marked as a Proving Ground. So this is a pretty big deal here because you're going to be able, if you're going second, you're going to be able to effectively force the opponent into certain moves. Kind of how you could in round 3 of the current edition. You're going to be able to do this every round as you choose which is going to be the Proving Ground. So if you see some of these moving all their Galician infantry battle line to one side of the board, you're gonna play with this objective to choose which one you want them to have to move to in their turn. And so you can make it to where it's going to be really hard for them to grab an objective, or you can force them to move a unit that you want somewhere else over to that objective. So there's going to be some play here. It might slow down that priority roll a little bit as you're trying to determine what turn you're going to be taking, but it does have some interesting strategic play here. What this also means is that in our list, you're going to have some Galician veterans because they're going to be able to take an objective away every turn from your play if you don't have some Galician veterans. Can we just say veterans? I feel like I'm gonna say Galician too many times. So you're gonna have some of these units, some of these battle line units, Skinks, Warriors, or Guard, to play against that choice in the priority roll. So that's a big tactical thing that we're gonna have to look at. We also have another rule here, and this one I think is the biggest deal. Bonds of Battle. When a model in a Galician Veterans unit makes an attack with a melee weapon, you can target an enemy unit within half an inch of another model from that Galician Veterans unit, instead of using the weapon's range characteristic for that attack. If you do so, the attacking model must be within half an inch of another model from its own unit that's within half an inch of the target. That's a lot of words there to basically say you can fight in the second rank. And that is huge for Source Warriors. That's well, and Guard too. Skinks is not really a big deal. They had 1 inch range before. Now you don't have to worry about being base to base with Skinks. You can play it a little bit looser there. They'll be able to attack second ranks, which is very nice. You can get a ton of attacks with Skinks. But I think this does make Source a little bit more viable. It does make him a little bit better. You don't have to have spears now. This really doesn't do much for spears, since spears could hit over the top, but it does allow your jaws to attack in the second row. So we are pretty good at throwing out a lot of dice, not very good dice in the Warriors case. But now we can take clubs and not be sacrificed on number of attacks. Clubs can now attack from the second rank. That's a great little advantage there for the Warriors. You'll get those clubs that have rend and bites from the second rank. Which, you know, if you're taking a max unit of 30 Warriors, spread them out to where they're just in 2 ranks, and you might be able to get all of them in if you're attacking a big target or another big battle line unit or something. I think one unit that is kind of that might be a sneaky good pick. We'll see what the points cost does for everything, but could be the Guard, because they have their biggest problem was that you could never fight over the top. They had very short range, and now a unit of 10 can get all of them into combat as a Galician veteran. So I think that's pretty good for the Warriors there. There is an interesting command here, and this is the Realm command, where in the current edition we had the monster command ability or command point that you could fight at full bracket. This is the Realm command for this. Very, very situational. I don't know that it'll come up very often. You use this at the end of your charge phase. The unit that receives the command must be a Galician veteran that has 10 or more models. Pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of that unit that has a wounds characteristics of 4 or less and roll a dice. If the roll is greater than the number of models in that unit, the strike last effect applies to that enemy unit. So this is a weird one because there's no, they have to have 4 or less models and then basically be 5 or less models in that unit. So you're talking, you know, there's a couple of elite units that will hit this category, but to be honest, not a whole lot. And so it will probably come up. Keep this in your back pocket, but it's not going to be a game changer, I don't think. It might be on certain units, like if you're getting hit with some annihilators or something that have less than 4 wounds there, and then they have you could reliably roll over their unit size, but it's still the dice roll, you know. So I don't know. That's very, very situational to me. There is this right here though is another big one. This right here is going to be a game changer. This is a Core Battalion, Expert Conquerors, and Galician Veterans units only. You can take 2 to 3 of these units. Each model in this battalion counts as 3 models for the purpose of contesting objectives. Whoo, man. So imagine, 2 units of 30 skinks. That's 90 models for each of those units on an objective. And you can fit a lot of skinks on an objective. So that right there is pretty awesome. Warriors, same thing. You can't fit quite as many warriors on an objective, but they're a little bit harder to remove. They'll count as a lot. Guard will now count, if you have a max unit of 15, it's going to be fairly hard to shift. And they'll count as 45 models. The era of Mega Gargants capturing objectives is gone. Poor Mega Gargants. They're going to get objectives stolen out from underneath them just by skinks. So that's a big one right there. I mean, this is what's really going to push a lot of things to hordes. And to be honest, Seraphon doesn't even have the best hordes. I mean, you've got zombies, you got Skaven that's about to come out that are going to have a ton of horde units, pink horrors, more tech guard, just about everything in Night Haunt. You're going to have a lot of models on the board now. A lot of things are going to be pushing to capture those objectives. You do have to have some counterplay to these Galician veteran units because it's going to be prevalent. One thing that they hinted at is the bounty hunters, and we've seen it's going to be another battalion apparently, and we've seen some of the leaks that it's going to be a +1 to damage versus Galician veterans. So you'll probably want to balance your armies. We'll see when the book comes out, but you probably want to balance your armies between your Galician veterans and your bounty hunters. So those units that are going to focus on taking out the Galician veterans with that +1 damage. And then enough to hold objectives within this Expert Conquerors. The good thing about Seraphon, as long as Scaly Skin survives the new FAQ, bounty hunters won't be as big a deal for us. If somebody gets an extra +1 to damage, we'll just reduce that back down to -1. So I think we'll have some decent counterplay versus bounty hunters. There have been some people saying that Scaly Skin might change. Oh, please, I hope not. That's like the only thing keeping Thunder Lizards near the top. So it's a really good one, especially if we go into this Horde meta. You know, having a ton of Hordes on the board at all at -1 damage is going to be good. It's going to be good. So there's new battle plans coming, battle tactics, and grand strategies. From the sound of it, it looks like those battle tactics and grand strategies are going to be harder to accomplish. So don't go into them expecting that you're going to get all 5 battle tactics and easily get your grand strategy. So I'm looking forward to that when it's coming out here this weekend. I wanted to kind of look at some of our units here. Let me scroll back to the top here, and let's just speculate on what is going to go up. Its stocks are going to go up, and what's going down. Of course, our battle tome, needs an update. Not as bad as some others, but we do have quite a bit stuck in the previous edition, even more so now. Lord Croak, he's very situational. I think in the new book, if depending on points and stuff, but if you're going guard heavy, if we can make something work with guard and like a Galician veterans, I think Croak just loves being with guard. But then again, would you want to destroy your guard, your Galician veterans, by taking a Blade of Wounds from Croak? There's plenty of ways to bring him back, so maybe, but we'll have to see on that. These two start collectings, I think, are still good value. Lots of battle line units here with our skinks and our warriors. Knights, we'll get to those here in a second. I think we may have something to say about the knights. Stegodons, man, unfortunately, I think Stegodons may be going down in value here. We've left the era of monsters, which was a lot of fun for Stegageddon. I think they'll still have some play, but it's going to be hard without like our monstrous takeover, getting those extra points for monsters. These things are going to fold to these hordes real fast, especially when they get bracketed as easily as they do. I just don't know that you're going to see a lot of Stegodons, which makes me sad. That's my favorite unit. We'll see. Maybe there's something with the Sunfire throwers. With as many hordes as going around, maybe we can make some Sunfire thrower, the like flamethrower that's on the top of them that we don't really play too much right now. I'm hoping that maybe the normal Skystreak Bow and the Sunfire, they would get split off into different war scrolls, and we could kind of drop that Sunfire a little bit in points, similar to the Bastiladon and the Arca Sotek and Solar Engine. Carnosaurs, they still need to be updated. I mean, they're cheap. You can still get some damage done with them, but not going to help you too much in the era of in the Horde era. Source Guard, I talked a little bit about them. I think I need to think more about that. Source Guard, I think, could be good now. Let's max a unit of 15 and move them up the board with Croak. That's kind of always been the dream. But now they can count as more on objectives. They can fulfill this Galician veteran role. They can capture objectives easier. There's going to be some battle tactics that have to do with Galician veterans, these battle line units, and so I think you'll be able to accomplish some of those with Source Guard. You're able to fight from the second row with them. So I think there might be some play there. Definitely easier to field them and less time consuming than the Warriors. I need to run some numbers. Because I think getting all your Warriors in now with that fighting in the second row, you're going to be able to do some decent damage with the Warriors. Now, let's be clear here. When we're talking like our hordes could be better, that's still nothing compared to like some of the other hordes out there. Like our source warriors, while better in this edition, are still going to get obliterated by like Mortek Guard. They're still going to run up against a brick wall and pink horrors. You know, these Night Haunt is going to tear them apart. I mean, they're better, but source warriors are still far down the totem pole of effective horde units. I think skinks are still going to be good. I think this whole update, what we've seen so far, might bring our Starborn side of things up a little bit. You know, if I can be teleporting battle line around the board, scoring battle line, Galician veteran, battle tactics and stuff, then I think that, you know, there could be some good stuff there. Skinks are still, they require a lot of support. Definitely don't get your heroes sniped, but they can still do good work. So I think skinks are they're still going to be a staple here. Star Priest obviously still good. Comin skinks are kind of going to be a little weird. You know, they're going to be in the troops section, so you could put them hopefully into that bounty hunters role, but you're probably going to want to save your bounty hunters for something else. But it would be nice to give them an extra +1 damage, maybe snipe out some battle line. But no, the more I think about that, they're too much precision striking. They're not going to clear any hordes. Old Blood, not going to see the play until he gets a War Scroll rewrite. Priest, obviously still amazing for the Bastildons. Source, Heroes, only Astrolith Bear is going to get anything. Sunblood might have Sunblood and Eternity Warden. Maybe if you make something work with some Source Guard, they could have a little bit of something to do if you're not in like Koto's Claw, so you can get that +1 to their attack, +1 to hits. Sorry. Razordons. You're probably not going to spend the reinforcement points to like pump them up and put them in bounty hunters, even though that sounds fun, making them like 2 damage, but I don't think that would work. Salamanders, you know, to be honest, I think salamanders are going to go down a little bit there. They're not going to be quite as effective because if there's a ton of bodies on the board, salamanders aren't good with dealing with a ton of bodies. They can take out the important pieces still, but they're going to be a lot less effective. I don't think you're going to build like a Dracothian's Tail army with just salamanders because they're not going to be able to deal with those hordes. Knights, what I'm thinking with Knights is that they are definitely going in that bounty hunters category. You get a big unit of them. You wouldn't, maybe not even a big unit. If you can buff them up right, they're going to get +1 to their damage. They'll be doing damage 3 when they charge on their spears. And then both bite attacks will be doing damage 2. Now, none of that has rend. So you still got to deal with that. But there's a lot of potential there. They have so many attacks. Giving them +1 to damage versus the Galician veterans will be awesome. So I think Knights are going to be kind of our bounty hunters, as it were. And we'll let the other units provide the bodies here. Source Warriors, I think they're going up. I still don't think they're going to compete in this Horde meta, but they're definitely better with this Galician veteran stuff. And being able to attack from the 2nd rank definitely makes them better. I like this. I like the clubs now better than the spears. Spears basically aren't doing anything for you now, so you might as well take clubs. We'll probably have to run the math once we get all the book fully out. Bastildon, still good. Not quite as good now because you can't do the monster stuff. I'm hoping maybe they'll take them off of the prime hunter or prime targets list since we don't have all the monster stuff anymore. Slon's still excellent. Ripperdactyls, they're so cheap. If you could put them in bounty hunters, maybe. It's they run the same problem that the guard have. They just have no rend, and they're so stinking cheap. Maybe. I'm gonna have to redo all the numbers on all these units now. Pterodon Riders, I think I still have a place, but it'd be interesting in bounty hunters, I think. Kroxigor. Now, Kroxigor I like for bounty hunters. Kroxigor are gonna be good now, because A, they're already a horde hunting unit, so they want to take on hordes. But then B, getting +1 damage versus those hordes. That's great. So now their attacks are going to be doing 3 damage each. Imagine that Moonhammer going into a Horde doing 3 damage each. Yes. The jaws are going to be able to attack from the second row. Now you can always attack with the oh wait, no, because they're not going to be Galician veterans. That was a Galician veteran thing, so forget that. But what you're looking at is that bounty hunters, and you're looking to get that extra +1 damage. So these are going to be our Horde killers. You're gonna have to buy some Croxagore. Just go do it. You're gonna have to buy some Croxagore, whether they're Forge World or proxies, because they won't update our Croxagore. Go get some. They're gonna be good. Engine of the Gods, I still think is still gonna be a must take. It provides too much utility. Troglodon, please bring it down in price. We need that Troglodon down. You know, I should have mentioned this on the salon. We have some great spells to do with hordes, and that's going to come into effect here. I think you're going to want at least. It's hard to go away from Hand of Glory, the reroll hit rolls of 1 with your skink wizards, but you need to get in Tide of Serpents in here somewhere, because you're going to have to deal with hordes. So we got Stellar Tempest on our Salons that will kill some hordes, and we want Tide of Serpents on a skink wizard to deal with hordes too. You could always maybe turn the Engine of the Gods with like Arcane Tome into a wizard and take it there. But you're definitely going to want that on it. On one of your skink priests or wizards. Scarvet, still decent for the price, but yeah, not going to do too much. Skink Star Seer, same kind of thing. Realm Shaper Engine. Of course, you got to have the Realm Shaper Engine now, so you know, I think we still got some decent units. I'm really liking Croxagore going. I think they're going to do well in this new meta. Warriors got a little bump. Please, I hope they don't raise their cost just because they're battle line. They're not that good. They'll still get shredded by most of the other good battle line out there. Skinks are definitely still awesome. And Guard, I need to explore this Guard thing more. I have to run some numbers. All right, guys. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know what y'all are thinking about this new Battle Tome preview they gave us today. And am I saying Galician veterans right? Catch y'all next time, guys.